The purpose of the night is kind of just to not only witness and celebrate the induction of our new ABO members, but we're also going to have a short ceremony for awards. The guys who took courses this summer, there were at least half of the guys did exceptionally well, so they're going to be getting awards. And so, oh, I thought that was me singing. Okay. You know, I want a little theme music. Don't cut off my theme music, man. Okay. So anyway, again, we're here to celebrate the new guys and also celebrate the accomplishment of some of the old ABO members. Let's see. So what we're going to do, I'm going to pass it to Eric. I guess I'll say this before I step away. I want to be real careful with what I say tonight because I have a lot to say, and so I don't want to scare everyone in here. It's nothing crazy, so I see a few looks of concern. But what I want to say is this, that this group of guys that you guys are here to celebrate, they are a special group of men. They've taken responsibility for not only their own destinies, but they've decided to be leaders, and they've decided to play a part in the betterment of their families, the betterment of themselves, and the betterment of the world. And so that takes a special heart, that takes a special spirit in this day and age. It's hard to find that, especially for these guys fresh out of high school. So what I want to say is this. Keep, for you guys who are parents, for you guys who are brothers and sisters, make sure you hold these guys accountable. Again, this is a special group. They have a lot of potential, passion, and purpose. And so it's important that we don't provide them with opportunities to give up. A lot of guys are looking for reasons to give up and to fail and self-sabotage. And so this is not that type of group, but it's important that as parents, as brothers and sisters and teachers, that you hold these men accountable. Because we need a new generation of leaders. We need a more effective leadership. And so it starts now with this generation that's sitting down here today. So having said all that, now it's your turn, sir.
Thank you, Andre. And once again, I want to welcome you as well. We are really glad to have all of you here this evening to celebrate. This is a time of celebration, and at the same time, it's a time of acknowledgement and accountability. And Andre talked to the family, to the friends, to the loved ones of the men in ABO. And I want to talk to the men directly in ABO, that you're a part of this organization because you're capable, okay, because you're able. One of the things, we have no admission criteria to be in this program other than desire. And so to the second year guys, you know, you did your part. We're proud of you. One of the things I always share, we have a theme from worst to first, because in every academic category, black men bring up the bottom, bring up the rear. And our theme is from worst to first. And the next thing we talk about is 80 up. And when you greet each other, don't say, yo, what's up, say 80 up. Because we're talking about 80% success rate for all of our men at ABO, okay, with the B average. So the new guys coming in, all right, if you're having problems, we need to know up front. Don't wait until it's too late to say something, okay? Talk to any of the second year students. They will get you to the right people, get you to me, to Andre, to the tutors, wherever you need to go. So 80 up is our theme. And I say 80 up because no group of students in GRCC has an 80% success rate yet. But guess what? Guess what, Doc? We coming. All right? We will be the first group of students in the history of Grand Rapids Community College. And our goal is this, is that we're going to put together a program that is so profound that people around the country will want to come and talk to ABO members and say, what are you doing? How are you so successful? Andre and I did a presentation in Lansing yesterday. After we finished, one guy came up and said, I want to give you $1,000 because I love what you're doing. But what you need to understand, men, is that our goal is not to get $1,000. We're thankful, okay, to that organization. Our goal is to get $1 million. And so gentlemen, what you do this year depends on us getting $1 million. If you give us 80% success rate with a B average across the board, I guarantee you 12 months from now, I can get you $1 million to support this program. What that $1 million does is support the other men coming into ABO from now on. So you're, as leaders, you're laying the foundation, okay, for the future, for the success of other men who come through this program. So we will hold you accountable. We expect you to hold, we expect self-responsibility and mutual accountability. So be responsible for your own actions, be responsible for your own success, but at the same time, as ABO members, we hold one another accountable to being successful. I want to recognize, we have some guests today, and from Grand Valley. Sean, would you please come up and just introduce your entourage? Sean walked in, and his brothers walked in behind him, you know. I was waiting for the music to play your theme music. Thank you.
We were a little intimidated by the Blazers, so we had to come together. Well, first of all, I want to thank Eric, and I want to thank all of you for welcoming us into your home and for an opportunity to share in this time of celebration and acknowledgement of the fine work that you've done. My name is Sean Huddleston with the Division of Inclusion and Equity at Grand Valley State University. And last year, we kicked off a Black Male Scholars Initiative at our university for many of the same reasons that ABO exists today. And so I'm here with some of my colleagues that I want to introduce. We have some of our advisors. We have Patrick Wilson is here with us. We have Jamar Ragland, who is our graduate student. He just graduated a couple months ago with his bachelor's degree and moved right into a master's program. We have Bobby Springer with our Office of Multicultural Affairs. We have Dr. Adriel Hilton with us, who is my colleague in Inclusion and Equity. We have Mike Jones, who is one of our students, and then we have Jamal Stallings, who's one of our students as well. When Eric reached out to us, and I believe it was with Dr. Hilton first, when he reached out to us, it was a perfect fit. We saw this as an opportunity to really build a connective pipeline, if you will. So those of you who plan on going to a four-year institution, if you happen to choose Grand Valley State University, which we certainly hope you will, we want you to know that when you come, there will not be a break at all in your work as in training for leadership. You will move right into a four-year institution and be able to continue that work. But as I've talked to some of you, I know that some have had an interest in attending HBCUs, for example. We have some expertise and some scholarships and some research in that area. For example, Dr. Hilton got his bachelor's degree from an HBCU. He got his master's degree from an HBCU. He got his PhD from an HBCU. So he's a good person to be able to have in your network to talk to, be mentored by as well. So we're not going to take any more time here. We just wanted to thank you all for welcoming us, and look forward to collaborating with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean, and the gentleman from GVSU. We appreciate your being here. The other thing I want to touch on just briefly, as we talk about transitioning from GRCC to, for example, GVSU, and we're not dissing you, brothers, but we also have been in conversation with the Western, with MSU as well, because we want to create options for you. And GVSU is our hometown partner. But our goal is that, and we don't have it yet, but what we're talking to GVSU about is if you graduate from GRCC with a 3.0, that a 3 point or higher, you transition into Grand Valley with a tuition scholarship. That's our goal, okay? I'm gonna tell you what education pays, okay? Education pays, and the higher level of academic success that you achieve, okay, that's gonna give you benefits all the way down. And so those are the kind of things we're looking at trying to do for you, the men of ABO. Right now, where is Todd? Todd, come on up here. Did Todd slip out? Come on here and pray, okay? Todd said, Eric, don't forget to pray over the food. He's talking about 4 times, Mike. That's a good thing.
How you guys doing? I'm Todd Johnson, and I just want to thank God right now for this bread we're about to partake in, and that you would grace it and bless our bodies and the nourishment in it, that we would be able to do our will and our purpose in ABO as well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. What we're going to start, where's Andre? Would you come here, please? Okay. I'm gonna let Andre tell you how y'all gonna get your food, because I don't want y'all mad at me.
Thanks for setting me up. Okay, we're gonna start off with the closest table. We'll start over there. We're gonna work our way around this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I guess the way we'll do it is you guys can go out that door. We'll open these doors and you come back around and have a seat.
Move us along. I hope everybody has got something to eat. I hope that y'all ain't being shy and y'all getting y'all eat on, because I know I took care of mine over here. But no, I'm up here just to bring up our keynote speaker for the night. And this gentleman, who goes by the name of Dominic Dorsey, is the director of accessibility here at Grapps Community College. I'll say personally, when I saw him brought on board, it kind of touched my heart. I'm always looking for individuals that look like myself, and I feel that's so important for our young guys that we have here today, even to see individuals that not only look like them, but that can relate to their experience. And so when Dominic came on board, like I say, it was just music to my ears. I am elated that he's our keynote for the night, and I look forward to hearing from him. Without further ado, I'm going to bring him up so that we move along and stay on key for time. And so can we all give a round of applause for Dominic, please?
I made the unfortunate mistake of wearing black, so y'all might see me disrobe at some point. Take some of all this heat off. I just want to say thank you, first and foremost, for the brothers of ABO, for inviting me to come and speak to you all, have an opportunity to have an audience with you. It's been an interesting week, so I kind of struggled with exactly what I wanted to talk about. But being that my background is that of an activist, as someone who is passionate about social justice, I figured what better way to introduce myself to the campus, introduce myself to you, and to allow you to advocate for yourself than to give you a 20-minute lecture on how to be a dangerous Negro. Now, I fancy myself a dangerous Negro. I know this because when I am driving and police are behind me, or if I'm in a store and there are people following me, or if I just happen to get into an elevator and someone happens to clutch their purse just a little bit tighter, I appear to them to be dangerous. But internalized, I'm looking at myself being dangerous in a completely different way. So let me kind of preface all of this by starting back at the beginning. I became a dangerous Negro by going through a period of what I call black rage. Has anybody ever heard of that? So when I talk about black rage, I mean when I went through elementary school, middle school, high school, black history was just Martin Luther King, and then you might see him on a placemat. Then you get Rosa Parks, and then you have Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. We couldn't drink from the same water fountain at one point. Now we can. Everybody's happy. That was black history when I was growing up. When I got to college, it was a completely different thing. Completely different. I had an opportunity to not only see African Americans in leadership roles, doing things that were beyond what I had experienced growing up, especially growing up without a father in the home, to doing things that were inspiring and that changed lives and that changed this country. So that instilled in me quite a bit of responsibility to not only take that and propel me to a position where I felt like I should be, but to bring others along with me. And that's kind of what I want to do with you. In that period of time where I learned a lot about black history, there were some atrocities and some things that shook me at my core to an extent of there was a period of time where I really didn't even speak. When I think about, how many of you have heard Willie Lynch? So you're talking about a man, fictitious or not, you can't argue with the way that things have panned out and the way that you look at things. So if you think about 1712, a man telling other individuals, plantation owners, slave owners, how to control African-American males, how to control the African-American community by pitting young versus old, dark versus light, male versus female, and to keep them perpetually distrustful of each other, envious even, and how that is to perpetuate by doing this for at least a year. He said, if you do this on your plantation for a year, it'll perpetuate for years to come, right? And then take it even a step further and say, if you want to break a Negro male, you take the biggest, strongest, roughest, meanest, restless male that you can, tar and feather him in front of all the other males, in front of the females and the infants. Then you beat him, set him on fire, tie his legs to 2 different horses, and then beat the horses until he's torn apart. Then take the remaining males and beat them to within an inch of their lives, but don't kill them because you still need them to procreate. And then have their will be broken so that they'll be submissive as well. So what does this do to the women and the children that are left behind? The women are seeing this happening to their husbands, their brothers, their cousins, their uncles. Just to see to another human being in itself is kind of jarring. But you've got a male right here next to you that's your offspring. What does that teach you to do to your children? You want to keep them as close to you and as safe as humanly possible. So when I read that, I thought about my mother. I was like, she didn't even let me ride my bike up and down the street. I had to learn how to ride roller skates on the back porch. My mother was protective. And as a result, I grew up soft. I mean, soft to the point where Drake would look at me and be like, man, you need to man up. I was soft as tissue paper. I mean, kids would tease me on the bus. Kids would tease me in the schoolhouse. That was my upbringing. That was my life. So when I transitioned from township schools in Indianapolis, where everyone spoke proper and sat upright, to schools in Indianapolis public schools, which was significantly more urban, I had to change my whole persona. I was like, this is my opportunity to not be soft no more because they don't know me. So I'm gonna come in here with a completely different swag. I watched as much BET as humanly possible. I bought stock in FUBU. I mean, my entire wardrobe was for us, by us. And I was just determined that I was gonna perpetuate this image of being hard. You know, because there were killers in my neighborhood. There were people that were for real gangsters. I watched people getting jumped in. You know, there were vice lords in my neighborhood. I knew what that environment was like. And in my ignorance, this is what I wanted to be a part of because I felt like as a man, you're supposed to be hard. That's what you need to be masculine. So by the time that I actually got to a point where I understood all of these elements from my childhood and then started to piece together things from throughout our history as African Americans, it made me see things differently. It made me reframe it in terms of what masculinity means, what it means to be strong, what it means to be powerful, what it means to have muscle. I thought to have muscle, you had to intimidate people, that you had to make other individuals feel small or afraid of you. But I was listening to Terry Crews today on Sway in the Morning, and you would never think that as goofy as Terry Crews acts on television, you see him on Everybody Hates Chris or in White Chicks and things of that nature, but he actually used to be a professional football player. And he's significantly massive. I mean, I don't think he can scratch his back. His arms are so big. He said something that really struck me as being profound, and it made me kind of reshape everything that I was thinking about even when I was writing my speech. He said, muscle and strength is for building and protecting. It's not for intimidation. It's not for making other individuals feel scared or meek or sheepish. It's for building things and protecting things. So then that got me to thinking about this whole concept of a dangerous Negro. These people who were actually defined as a dangerous Negro. I didn't coin that term. I wish I did because it's kind of cool, but it comes from somewhere. I didn't want to misappropriate language or say something that was untrue, so I actually looked up some things. And I hate reading from a piece of paper while I'm giving these speeches, but as a way to kind of get around that, kind of cheat, I just put it on my tablet. So, what's a dangerous Negro? In 1963, the FBI, under the leadership of J. Edgar Hoover, declared that the Reverend Martin Luther King was the most dangerous Negro. Now you think of Martin Luther King, he's the pacifist, right? He's the nonviolent activist. He's the person that everybody wants to sing Kumbaya behind. Mr. I Have a Dream, right? He's dangerous. So if he's dangerous, he's not on the news every day for beating up the elderly. He wasn't a person that ran into a school with a gun. What made him dangerous? He was called the most dangerous Negro after the I Have a Dream speech. So you're thinking about the FBI. J. Edgar Hoover was a paranoid person, very much so. He accused MLK of being a communist. What do? 8 wiretaps, 16 bugs, one in every phone, every hotel room, in his home bedrooms. And after he accepted the Nobel Peace Prize, the FBI took a compilations of sounds from these bugs, supposedly of MLK having adulterous activity with other women, packaged them together, sent them to his house. His wife was the one to answer the door and opened it. And along with this audio recording of all these amorous sounds was a note where he essentially said, "Look into your heart. There's only one way out for you. You better take it before your filthy, abnormal, fraudulent self is bared to the nation." He was essentially asking for MLK to kill himself. This came from Bill Sullivan. He was head of FBI intelligence at the time. So when you think about MLK, and you think about how hard they tried to tear him down before he was eventually taken from us, they saw him as dangerous because they thought he was spreading propaganda that he was a communist, but I'm looking at him different. So if I'm thinking what made him dangerous, I'm thinking about the fact that he entered Morehouse College at age 15 after skipping both the 9th and 12th grade. He got his bachelor's degree at age 22. He became pastor of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama at age 25, and at age 26, he had his PhD. At 35, he was the youngest man, second African-American, actually third African-American male, and second American to ever get the Nobel Peace Prize. That's what made him dangerous to me. He was a bad man. And they feared that because he was able to unify others with his wisdom. That was his strength. But it didn't just stop there. He wasn't the only dangerous Negro. There was a group of dangerous Negroes. Some of you may have heard of them. The Black Panther Party. Okay. So in January 1969, the Black Panther Party's first free breakfast for school children was held at the St. Augustine Church in Oakland. And by the year's end, they had set up kitchens all around the country and fed over 10,000 children breakfast every day. By 1979, the FBI started to sow seeds of factionalism, basically fabricating letters and sending them to various members of the Black Panther Party. J. Edgar Hoover stated that the Panthers were the greatest threat to the internal security of the country. So what made them dangerous, right? Maybe it was the fact that Fred Hampton led 5 different breakfast programs on the West Side. Or maybe it was the fact that he helped create a free medical center. Or maybe it was the door-to-door testing for sickle cell. Maybe it was the Chicago faction of the party that reached out to local gangs, asking them to put the guns down, stop the violence, stop the crime, and get into class war. Maybe it was their 12-point program that was so dangerous. I mean, after all, it did include full employment, decent housing, land, bread, education, clothing, justice, and peace. There were some bad men. I mean, I wanted a beret and a black jacket myself, but not so I could carry a gun, so I could protect my people like the Black Panthers did. That was their goal. They wanted to protect their community. They wanted to defend their community. They wanted to demand better for their community. That's what made them dangerous. Now I got to get to my man, Malcolm X, right? How did he reach prominence? Nobody remembers him for an I Have a Dream type speech. We saw him on a whole bunch of t-shirts after Spike Lee's movie came out, though. Everybody had a black hat with a white X on it. But a lot of people don't realize how he came to prominence. There was a member of the Nation of Islam by the name of Johnson Hinton. He was walking down the streets of New York with 2 other members of the Nation of Islam, and police walked up on him, questioned him, and started beating him. 2 other individuals that were with him broke in, tried to break it up. They got some lumps for their trouble. They beat Johnson Hinton so bad that when they took him to the police station, Malcolm X showed up with another one of his brothers. He asked to see him. They denied that there were even any Muslims in the jail. By the time he stopped talking to them, they looked outside the police house. There were 500 people waiting to see what Malcolm X was going to do about this situation. So after seeing the mob, eventually they relented and let him speak to him. They said Johnson Hinton was in such a bad shape, Malcolm X, insisted that they take him to a hospital so that he could be looked after. They only let him be looked after and then brought him right back to the jail. By the time they got back to the jail, there were 1,000 people there. waiting to see what Malcolm X was going to do about the situation. He stepped up with a lawyer, negotiated bail for the other two gentlemen, but they said, no, Mr. Hinton has to stay here until he's arraigned the next morning. The best we'll let you do is take him to a hospital. He can wait there. He argued with him. After the point where he realized he reached the impasse, he walked outside, did one of these numbers. The whole crowd dispersed quietly. The police went on to talk to reporters the next day and said, no one man should have that much power. Y'all thought it just came from a Kanye song, didn't you? Malcolm X was a bad man. Yeah, he said some controversial things about chickens coming home to roost, but he realized the error of his ways. He came to a point where he embraced black nationalism. He embraced working with other civil rights leaders, and he became a target. So much so that COINTELPRO got involved again. J. Edgar Hoover, Planet, a member of the Nation of Islam, and started to create dissension between him and Elijah Muhammad. So he became enemy number one. What happened? He was taken out. But think about these three groups of people. You've got Malcolm X, you've got Martin Luther King, you've got Black Panther Party. In some instances, they've been demonized. In some instances, they've been made to seem very soft and cuddly. Malcolm X is what they don't want a black man to be. Martin Luther King is what they want every black man to be. But in a way, they were both militant. I mean, you talk about Martin Luther King, he's the one in his speech, they don't talk about that part, but he said, the United States of America wrote us a check marked insufficient funds. He was about business. He meant what he said. But that's not what they want you to see. These were dangerous Negroes. So how do we become dangerous Negroes? You hear that phrase, am I my brother's keeper? And that comes from biblical scripture, right? I think it's Genesis 4:9. So what does that mean? So that's the whole story about Cain and Abel, right? So this is right after Cain kills Abel. God looks down at Cain, he says, where's your brother? Cain basically said, it's not my turn to watch him. What you looking at me for? Said, I know not, am I my brother's keeper? Basically denying any accountability, denying any type of responsibility for his kinship. So when we're talking about dangerous Negroes and these men who have passed, who did great things to try to uplift our society, to try to uplift their people of color, and nobody being their brother's keeper, I'm not saying that they weren't looking out for one another, but what I'm saying is within their band of brothers, there was nobody left to step up when one was knocked down. You talk about W.E.B. Du Bois, he had his Talented 10th program, or actually this theory that he had that 1 out of every 10 African-American males was going to rise up and create this pattern of leadership for others to follow. There was a flaw in that, and we see that a lot. You have that one brother who gets on, he gets his money, he's got his education going, and everybody's like, hey, why don't you help me out? Why don't you? You have to get your own. Folks won't even tell you where you get a hot pair of shoes at. When them J's come out, you're going to have to get online and look for yourself. I'm not about to tell you where I got my hookup from. That's that backwards mentality that keeps many of us behind. It's not a unified front. That's what was fearsome for the FBI. That's what was fearsome for society. That's why they wanted to assassinate people in public and in private, their character. Think about Willie Lynch. You take the biggest, baddest man you can find from that community in front of everybody and take him out. They took out MLK in front of a group of his peers, people that were coming to listen to an empowering message. They took out MLK on a balcony while he was marching for sanitation workers. They systematically picked apart the Black Panther Party because they were doing good things to unify people. They looked at the Black Panther Party as a threat because they weren't just working with other Black Panthers. They were working with Cesar Chavez. They were working with SNCC. They were working with the SCLC. This whole revolutionary movement was starting to catch on, and they had to quell it. But what happened? When our black leaders started to disappear, everybody hung their head, but nobody lifted it up. Nobody said, I'm going to fill this gap, right? So when we're talking about our brothers, brother, will you come up here real quick? You, sir? You, sir, you mind coming up here real quick? You, sir, with the impeccable hair. Yes, you. Both of you. Both of y'all can come. I'm going to read something. I'm a big fan of poetry and philosophers. One of my favorite philosophers is Khalil Gibran. He said something that I read today I thought was really prophetic. You have been told, even like a chain, you are weak as your weakest link. But this is half the truth. You are also as strong as your strongest link. To measure you by your smallest deed is to reckon the power of ocean by the frailty of its foam. To judge you by your failures is to cast blame upon the seasons for their inconsistency. Do me a favor and link up real quick. Now, if I am society looking at an African-American male, they'll see an African-American male and they say they're uneducated. They'll say that they're not hardworking. They want everything at a premium. They want everything now. They're lazy. They don't know how to dress. They don't know how to talk. And when they do, they speak so well. They see an African-American with tattoos. Assumed he has to serve some time somewhere, right? He has to be a thug. I'm tattooed from my wrist up to my shoulders just so that I can be one of those examples, so when they see a black man with tattoos, they don't automatically assume the negative. And my tattoos mean something. I've got head to foot those black people, those Africans that they put on the slave ships, stomach to stomach, face to face, sleeping on ankles. That's how they hoarded them in, sometimes by 500s, in spaces no bigger than this room, half the size even. Imagine sitting on top of the people that are at your table, trying to survive, nowhere to use the restroom, eating when you were able to, and bound and in chains. And the ones that didn't make it got thrown over the boat. So just making it here, survivors and our ancestors were the strongest of those that made it across that territory. That middle passage was not meant for everyone to survive, but the ones that survived are the ones who bred us to be the strongest of the strong, to be here. So I already know I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. But knowing, because society is smart, they're not stupid, knowing that you're not only as weak as your weakest link, but you're strong as your strongest link. Looking at these three brothers up here, you say, oh, you got some of that are similar size and brawn, similar height. Automatically, I'm gonna go pick this brother off. And that's gonna make the rest of them feel some kind of way. But if I'm my brother's keeper, this brother's gonna make sure that I can't break this chain. And if somebody's on this other side, they're gonna make sure that they don't break this chain. It's our responsibility to uplift and carry with us those individuals. And we're not looking at their ability, we're not looking at their education, we're not looking at what their past deeds were, we're not looking at what the expectation was for them, we're not looking at anything deleterious about them whatsoever. But I am my brother's keeper, and together we will rise. That's all I needed from you guys. I appreciate you coming up here. Again, I'm a really big proponent of history and of African culture. One of the symbols that I always like to look at, and that's one of the symbols that I tattooed on my arm, is a symbol of Sankofa. The symbol of Sankofa is a bird with an egg on its back. So it's moving forward while also looking back. And it's an awkward thing to look at, but it has symbolism to it. So what's on its back is the future. But we're always moving ahead. So we're looking back and taking care of the future while moving ahead. How does that happen? Again, what you do here is not just for you. It's for all of those who would follow behind you. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, the Black Panthers, their death was not the end of their legacy. Their legacy is you. So you have a responsibility to uphold that legacy. W.E.B. Du Bois said, power is not in wealth, but in knowledge and character. But we have this mentality that you haven't made it until you have the right car, or you got a bad house, or you got a nice lady on your arm. None of that matters, because character is how you treat somebody that can do nothing for you. These men marched with individuals that they didn't know their first names until they got there. They fought for individuals that were in chains and in bondage and in jail they had never seen sight of, but they knew right is right and wrong is wrong. So I guess as I'm standing here and I'm asking you to embrace this mentality of being a dangerous Negro, I'm asking you to flex that muscle, and not the muscles on your arms and the muscles in your back, but the muscle inside your skull, and figure out not only how am I going to propel myself to a place where we're 80 up, but I'm looking at 90 up. I'm looking at 95, I'm looking at 100. Because it's not just me doing this, I got my brothers with me. And if I'm weak somewhere, they're gonna make sure that I'm stronger. Not gonna pick me off because I have a deficiency in math. They're not gonna pick me off because I have a deficiency in English. They're not gonna pick me off because I have a deficiency in geography or any other subject, because I can lean upon my brothers. And we're gonna get through this together. And guess what? When we're done, we're looking back. Who else can I help? That's the element of the talented tenth that was forgotten. That 10th is supposed to grow to 20. That 20 is supposed to go to 30. That 30 grows to 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and beyond. That is our charge. We were not grown, we were not bred, we were not created to be a society of individuals. Community is what was destroyed by Willie Lynch. We have a responsibility to rebuild that. And the way we do that is with education. Leaders are not born, they are bred. There is nothing to say that a meek and sheepish individual cannot be a leader, because they do so by example. No more so than a person who is a naturally born orator may not have much to say. But you put those two individuals together, guess what? You don't need a soapbox. You don't need an army. You don't need 100 people standing beside you. All you need is that willpower to get through whatever obstacles are in front of you. And if you've got your brothers on either side to hold you up, anything is possible. I know I probably undercut my 20 minutes, but that's all I have to say.
We give another hand to Mr. Dominic Dorsey. We appreciate your wisdom, and to sum it all up, he said what was what I like to tell the guys, and that's turn your intelligence into a weapon. And so, just like the brother just said, the purpose of muscles is to protect and to build. And so, you have to learn how to use your intelligence as a weapon and just tear down problems that plague not only our general society but Black society. So, thank you for those words. We're going to move on, and we're going to right now go into what's called the letter of intent signing. And this is the portion of the ceremony where all of the new ABO members for 2014, they're going to come up and they're going to answer two questions. The first question they're going to answer is, how do they personally define leadership? And the second question that they're going to answer is, if they could solve one problem in the world, what would that problem be and why? And so the reason why we put them in this situation is because your words are your bonds. And so as a man, a woman, anyone, once you say something, you're responsible for those words. So right now, these guys are making a proclamation that what I say today as it relates to what a leader is, and what I say today as it relates to how to solve what problem I want to solve, I'm going to dedicate my life to becoming that leader and solving that problem. And so Ms. Mersalata Muhammad is going to help me. And once you guys, you new guys, you probably don't know how the process goes, but we'll call your name up. We're going to call you up in groups of like 4. And so Ms. Mersalata is going to give your name, and then after you answer your questions, you're going to walk over here to this table and sign your name. And that by that signature, you're going to be officially inducted into the ABO Society.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Morsalata Muhammad, and I teach here in the English department. And I'm happy to be working with ABO for a second year. I have to say, we had a fun time that first year. I say they hazed me all that first year. So on Wednesday, they decided that I finally earned a blazer. So thank you, guys. Okay, so I'm going to call you up, and if I mispronounce your name, please let me know, because with a name like Salata Muhammad, I understand. And I also forgive. So I'm gonna ask for you to do that for me tonight. I have practiced these a bit though. Tadarius Jones, DeAndre Jones, Kalan Davis Wallace, and Cameron Green. All right, I will just repeat the questions for each group, and you'll have your turn at the mic. The first question is, what's your personal definition of leadership?
Being someone worth following.
And the second question is, if you could solve one problem, what would that be?
Poverty. Poverty because being broke ain't fun.
My definition of being a leader is to lead others to success and be successful yourself. And if I could change something in the world, I would choose equality, because I believe that no matter what color you are, everybody should be equal, no matter like who you are. I mean, everybody should be treated equal, because you wouldn't want somebody to treat you the way that like you want to be. Well, sorry, but you wouldn't want anybody to treat you like bad. So I believe that everybody should be equal if you wanted to be treated good.
Does this work? Hello? Could you please restate your name? Because I call all the names in the group.
Kalon Davis Wallace. My definition of being a leader is to not only have followers, but have your followers become leaders too. And second question, please.
One problem, what would it be?
If I can solve one problem, it'd be the unemployment rate, and yeah, get that a little bit get the unemployment
Come on, you got this.
unemployment rate and lower it, so more jobs. Yeah.
Cameron Green. My definition of a leader is an example. My best example you can give is Jesus, somebody who led, but he had a servant's mentality. You lead people, but you're still willing to serve and help when needed. And if I could solve one world problem, it would be the problem of self-motivation. Nothing can be solved if you don't want to change yourself. Michael Jackson said it best, you got to start with the man in the mirror.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have Van Norris, Philbert Matthews, Rashad Bivens, and Micah Rupert. Come on down. All right. The first question, what's your personal definition of leadership?
You must be a good follower. You must follow good leaders. My one problem that I would do away with is racism, because everyone deserves to be treated equal, no matter your race, color, or creed.
Thank you. All right, please restate your name again.
Rashard, leadership.
You got it? What's your personal definition of leadership?
Someone who has a vision and who set goals and achieve them.
And if you could solve one problem, what would it be?
Gun violence, because there's too many teens getting killed.
My name is Van Norris, and to me, a leader is somebody that can take any situation they're given and be able to not only come out on top in a situation, but also if you have people following you, to actually be able to bring them up and allow them to get to the point where you got.
And if you could solve one problem, what would that be?
Probably education, because it's a big part in our world today. And if you don't have education, I feel like, I feel like if you have education, you have a better chance of being successful. So.
My name is Micah.
And yes, what's your personal definition of leadership?
Leadership is when someone stands up for what they believe in. People like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X.
And
Gandhi.
okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
You're fine.
There was a little pause.
I had to think of more people.
All right, we ready for the next?
Yeah.
Okay. If you could solve one problem, what would it be?
Probably poverty as well, because no one should have to suffer through hunger and pain such as that, especially people as young as myself.
All right, thank you. Okay. Next up to the mic, we have Shamari Key. Mari Key. And then we have Mari Key. Trayvon Garrett and Q-Alice Rhodes. All right. We know you all practice for these questions. It gets a little nervous when you get live. So, yes, I will. The first question, don't forget to restate your name since I called you all down here in a group. The first question is, what's your personal definition of leadership?
My name is Shamari Key. My personal definition of leadership is someone that shows integrity, someone that uplifts his brother, someone that can lead, someone to a personal goal and a general goal. Yeah, that's what I have for that.
Okay. And if you could solve one problem, what would it be?
One problem.
Yep, just only one at a time.
So many to choose from, but give me a minute, please. Yeah, I would have to say world hunger, because so many kids go to sleep without a good meal, and good meal is good for everybody for nutrition. It helps you learn in the morning, gets you going every day. Yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you. That was worth waiting for, so you're good.
Hi, I'm Jamari Key. My definition of leadership is someone who just pushes everyone to success and also shows success himself. Be an example of what you're trying to preach. And if I had to choose one world problem that I would fix, it probably would be health problems. Health is essential to everyone in learning and in life. If we don't have that, then how can we be successful? we have to live.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Trayvon Garrett.
And what's your personal definition of leadership?
My personal definition of leadership is someone to inspire and influence others, and also someone who think of a way to solve a problem instead of the problem just stand. What's the other question?
And the next question is, if you could solve one problem, what would it be?
The problem I solve is African American crime rates, because sometimes I feel like the good ones kind of get judged off the other one's decision.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Q. Ellis Rose,
And what's your personal definition of leadership?
and my personal definition of leadership is being a good follower. When you be a good follower, you can become a good leader. And also, being a leader, you can help your community, you can help your family to grow and to become successful.
Thank you. And if you could solve one problem, what would it be?
I saw one problem in this world, it can be hate crime, because all of us is privileged to be one and be brothers and sisters, and we all bleed the same blood, red blood, and hopefully that will change for the future.
Thank you. All right, so next in our group of four is one person because that's how the math worked out tonight. So please come down, Ronald Rhodey Gilbert. All right. Oh, Wade Hill and Sylvester. Last name. All right, you weren't on my list, but you're here. Come on down. Who else are we missing? You know, if you're not on my list, you are going to get on my list if you don't come down here. All right, so we have, I called Ronald Rhodey Gilbert and Hill. Why did I just? Wayne Hill and you are? Sylvester, last name? James and?
Troy Jemison.
Troy Jameson. Thank you. All right, what's your personal definition of leadership?
My definition of leadership is someone to take the initiative to lead or influence people in a positive way. And
If you could solve one problem, what would it be?
if I could solve one problem, I would solve the problem of trying to change or reverse the stereotypes that society and culture has placed on us.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Wayne Hill, and my definition of a leader is a person of integrity, a person that's a visionary, a person that seeking knowledge, and I said something else I wanted to say. Integrity, visionary, knowledge. I've slipped the last one, but I'll get there.
Well, you know, that's a good leader. If I have a leader with those three things, he can find the other one.
Okay. And then if I could change anything, I would change the standards of living for the maturing adults, because society isn't ready for the baby boomers right now. They're the largest growing population in the world. We have people out here that living in poverty that have worked all their life and don't have anything. We need to change that because we're all growing older. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sylvester James, and my definition of a good leader is someone that is goal-oriented, altruistic, a self-motivated person that loves to push people in the right direction, and I would also say someone that loves the people. My one thing that I would solve is world hunger, because if we can tackle world hunger, we could possibly get rid of a lot of malnutrition and diseases.
My name is Troy Jemison. My definition of being a leader is a person living by their morals and standing up for what they believe in. And one thing I would change is childhood obesity. Every child has a right to live a healthy childhood.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, we're almost done here. What I want to do now is call up the second year ABO members to answer the same question. London, you, sir, Moses, Mosley, Ulysses.
You all should be ready.
Who else? You, sir. Come on. Tyrell. Come on.
The word is all
Doc,
second year.
All second year. I will
All.
name you all, so start standing up.
It has to be first.
Hello, I'm Sean Wade, and it's my second year here. My true definition of a leader is a person who can unlock the inner potential out of its followers, and that's not afraid to go forward and ask those followers or people following for help, because a leader is also a human being, and we always need help. You always learn every day. And if there was one problem I can solve, is me being a 19-year-old, I would solve unemployment rates. Me and a lot of my friends don't have jobs, but we always look, and that'd be something I'd change.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Mosley, and the first question, what does it take to be a leader, or what is a leader to me? A leader is someone that serves. First of all, you have to be a good servant to be a good leader. You have to be worthy and have the confidence of the people to be able to lead them. So you have to stand for a cause. So you have to make a sacrifice for that cause. So in being a leader, you have to be a role model, an example, and you have to be able to serve. And what the second question was, what problem would I solve if there was a problem to be solved in the world? It would be the use of the proper world's resources. Because today, wars have been fought because of the world's resources, natural resources. And I believe that if these resources were properly allocated around the world, then we wouldn't have as many wars, we wouldn't have poverty, because there wouldn't be fights over the oil and the supplies of oil. So it would be the allocation of the world resources and everybody being equal and giving their share, and the governments, the big governments that's taking control of these resources, they will have to take care of the people with the money that they generate with these resources. And that's the problem I would serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ty Johnson. And my definition of a leader is someone who is able to motivate others as well as to use your tools in order to encourage others and to help others. And that second question, what world problem would I solve? I would solve communication. You know, if we all would speak one language, which is love, and learn how to love each other, we would put these weapons away, and we would learn how to motivate each other and come together in unity and not harm each other.
Good evening. My name is Ulysses Echols. My personal definition of a leader is someone who leads by example and has the foresight to see in others their potentials and is able to draw those potentials out of that individual that he may be able to succeed. If I could solve one world problem, it would be homelessness. And I believe, like what the gentleman said about a community, and it starts at home. So if we would solve this problem of homelessness, then we can start to build a community which would look after
all individuals in that community, because we are one nation and we are one people. There's only one father and mother, Adam and Eve, and we are all of the same family. So we need to become one family.
My name is Dontari Carlisle, but everybody calls me Doc. My definition of being a leader is someone who will listen and encourage the people around them in the midst of just leading in any area. And then a problem that I would solve would probably be fatherless homes, because a lot of people I grew up with are just around me in general. They don't have fathers in their lives, and so they're going in the wrong direction. So I think fathers play like a big role in the family. So I just want to make sure that I do my part in leading by example in that area and just encouraging others who are parents or who need help in that area.
Hi, my name is Tyrell Frederick, and my definition of a leader is someone who can lead a group to solve a problem that couldn't have been solved otherwise. One world problem that I would say that I have to solve is poverty, only because, like everybody was saying, we don't want our children to grow up, and they don't have food on their feet or clothes on their backs and everything. And yeah, that's that's mine.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Devontae. Most people call me D around campus. Definition of a leader, or the idea of leadership, I would have to say a person that's not afraid to take that leap of faith and that's convincing enough to have others leap with them. Second question was about the world problem. I did this last year, so I'm still using the same problem because it hasn't been solved yet. So bear with me. I think, looking back at the video, I said world ignorance. And simply because a lot of our social issues and general issues with our community start with people simply not knowing. And if people are more informed about this individual, that individual, and what everyone needs, pretty much the same thing, we can solve a lot of issues: wars, hunger, famine, things such as that. So.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm London Nathan. Definition of a leader is somebody that's humble in mind and heart. And if I could solve any problem in the world, it'd be the education on curing diseases.
I'm gonna make this thing shorter. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jonathan Jackson. Yeah, I'm reading from my phone. Prepared this a little bit. It's a lot different from my last year's speech. What it means to be a leader. To be a leader, you must be trusting, responsible, and easily someone that can be relied on. A leader will not lead you to a place you do not need to go. A leader does not become a leader by saying he or she is one. A leader leads by example of excellence and hard work. And if I could solve one world problem, it would be the acceptance of every person, every race, background, nationality, and sexuality, because acceptance of one another could one day bring world peace.
My name is Anderson Williams. To be a leader, in my definition, is someone that is not afraid of being bold, an innovator, one that has ideals, one that has a desire to go where everyone else is afraid to go, to take the first step, to stand up to the mic when everyone else seems to be afraid or lost. The world problem that I would like to change would be the lack of blacks supporting blacks. We see statistics today where $1, we're going to use a $1 bill in a black community would only get spread with the person that received that $1. We are the lowest race on the market as far as black business are concerned. I would like to see blacks supporting black businesses. I would like to see the dollar that comes into the black hand circulate in the black business up to 18 or more times before it goes out to another race.
Folks, we're going to get you guys out of here at 8 o'clock, so we're going to start moving a little faster. I want to introduce real quick Sean Smith. He's a second-year ABO member, and I'm going to give him an opportunity to answer the same two questions. The reason why I decided to highlight Sean is because he's been regularly epitomizing what it is to be a young leader. And specifically, first of all, he does it in the classroom. He's a very high-achieving student. And this summer, he won a fellowship scholarship. And so he stayed at the University of Michigan for 10 weeks, was it, Sean? 10 weeks. And so what I want him to do is briefly, in maybe 3 minutes, share his experience, what he's learned in the last couple of years about leadership, and how he plans to apply what he's learned in his future life pursuits.
Can you, Mersalada, can you say the questions for me?
What is your personal definition of leadership?
My personal definition of leadership is somebody who inspires those around them to aspire for something greater. They also got just an intangible ability to be able to tap into the imagination of people and be able to pull out things in them that they never thought that they'll be able to achieve.
And if you could solve one problem, what would it be?
If I could solve one world problem, it'd probably be the generation gap between young and old. Somewhere, I mean, and I want to just touch on the black community. Somebody dropped the ball somewhere. And I see older folks, they talk about all the time. They say, well, these kids, they got their pants down. They don't show respect. And, you know, they don't know nothing about their history, but somebody dropped the ball. So what I want to say is, for anybody who got that to say, what are you going to do about it? I want to see people actually start to invest in the young people, because nobody's willing to invest. You'll see people complain about it day after day, but nobody actually puts in the time and the effort to be able to change that. It'll continue to happen until somebody actually steps up. So the next time you see a young person and you're looking down on them, actually put some wisdom into them. Take a little bit of time, stop what you're doing, and just speak to them. And notice that, and know also that it might not just take one time. You might have to go back to them another time and then speak to them again. So that's the whole idea of investment. And then you probably be able to draw stuff out of them. Okay, I'm going to share a little bit briefly about my experience at U of M. It's very difficult to kind of encapsulate it in maybe a minute or two. But what I specifically wanted to talk about is I actually got a chance to speak during the symposium at the University of Michigan, and I was nervous about it because at the time the Trayvon Martin case it was fresh off the press, and racial tensions were very high in the country. And if you don't believe that racism still exists, go look at some YouTube comments and you will see some stuff. So I got the opportunity to do that. We had maybe 26 people in our group that came from different backgrounds who got a chance to go to the University of Michigan for 10 weeks. And I tried everything that I could possibly do not to speak, because I knew what the research that I had done. I had did research on African-American male students and the influence that school programs can have on the value that they place upon education. And I knew that when I spoke about the research that I had conducted, that there'd be racial implications below the surface. So I knew that will come out. And I didn't want people to say, okay, well, he's race baiting. I know that sometimes when we speak about things in this country, whenever a black male or a black woman, they speak about something, it's like, okay, well, they're race baiting now, because now we've become so politically correct as a society, that's what we tend to turn to, specifically in the whole Paula Deen controversy. You had a white woman who actually came out and put the business out there and said that she didn't like what was going on, but people jumped on her and said that it wasn't her place. And I think that's crap, because it's actually people, we're not the only people that actually stood out on that main line and who got everything done. There was other people who did it. And we always say that we want other people to jump in and we want to just be American. We don't want to hyphenate anything. But then when another American speak who happen not to share the same complexion, we want to down them for doing it. So I was just like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how this is going to go. So what ends up happening is that they sent me an email and they said, you've been selected to speak. So, yeah, I knew that I had a platform then, so I knew that it was my responsibility to be able to speak from that platform. It was my responsibility to be the mouthpiece and the voice for non-voiceless. So I knew that I had to go ahead and I had to own up and I had to give that speech. So I ended up giving that speech, and I don't care what color, what background the person came from, it all resonated with everybody. And I also didn't feel the need to prove how smart I was. I felt that I was validated because I came there. I was already there, so I was validated. I didn't feel like I was the most polished. I didn't feel like I was the most well-spoken, but I was sent. So I knew that it was my opportunity and my chance to be able to speak. So I got up there, and I didn't change anything about it, and I just gave them the raw me, and it just turned out well. I seen how easy it was to be able to build networks. I got a lot of contacts with people while I was there, and I just had like a big kinship network that just said, you know, whatever we can do to help nourish your aspirations, we'll be willing to help you. And I also met with people from all over the world, and the thing that probably spoke to me the most, was just the fact that it gave me reassurance in myself, because I grew up in a single-parent home. I actually got 2 brothers that's locked up right now. I just got a call that one of my brothers got locked up today. I'm saying that to let y'all know that it's real and how easy people fall through the cracks, even if you grow up in the same household with the same strict parenting. And I just didn't know what was going to happen. So when I went there, I just felt just that sense of pride, and I felt like, asserted in my beliefs, and I felt firm, because when I first got there, I felt as though I probably didn't belong, and I didn't know what to expect. So that's a little bit of my experience that I had at U of M. Another thing I want to touch on is that my family. Einstein once said that imagination is greater than knowledge. And I was able to tap into the imagination of my family, and they was able to see an example of somebody who had went to college and who was getting ready to transfer to a 4-year university. And my family, it's barely people who even have a high school diploma. So it was a big thing. So when I got back, I started hearing the kids go from I want to complete high school to saying that I want to get a college education. I want to go to Duke. I want to go to Stanford. I want to go to Harvard. I want to do this. I want to go to U of M just like you. So I'm just letting y'all know that everything that y'all do is people that's watching, man. It's people that's watching.
Sean. Hey, Sean, come on back, brother. All right. This is one of the consequences for doing good work. We want to give you an award for your service this summer. Thank you.
I feel like Venus and Serena.
And again, I just want to reiterate that Sean went to Michigan, not coming with a silver spoon in his mouth, not coming from any particular privilege. He went down there with some of the smartest students in the state, and he was chosen amongst his peers to present that fellowship experience. And so we have on there for exemplary leadership, but I know Sean, he feels he's made in the image of God. And I tell a lot of these black men in here all the time, the only one unfair thing about your existence is that you've been asked to be like God, and that's to create something out of nothing. And so you're on the way towards doing that. Keep it up.
And we're going to invite John. Would you come up, please? And one of the things we have a part of this program is coaches, and so it's not just that we have peer coaches, but also we have faculty and staff who have volunteered to work with these men one-on-one. And just want to ask John to take a few minutes, and Jonathan take a few minutes and talk about his experience with this coach, Dr. Steve Martin.
Dr. Steve Earl Barton. Probably the only white guy you'll see in here. Oh, we got a few of them. Just kidding. Just to speak on a few words, peer coach wouldn't really be a good label for him to say. He is one of the best leaders around here, and he is also one of the most encouraging people that any student could be privileged to meet on this campus. Dr. Barton, choir teacher, helper, person you can go to when you have a problem. You ever have a problem, go to him. You ever have anything you want to talk about, go to him. He's that person that can always help you no matter the circumstance, no matter the time, no matter what you're going through, grade-wise, life-wise, money-wise. He's a good guy. And I'd like to invite him up to receive his award. Dr. Steve O. Barton.
All right. Thank you very much. Oh, not much. I don't really want to say anything. It's like 1 minute to 8. I don't know. Thanks a lot. This is awesome. And I have to say, I wanted to tell you a funny moment. You know, I am stupid enough to play in that basketball tournament this and I showed up and I said to my wife, no, I'm not going to play. I'm not. And then we start shooting around, and all of a sudden, 2 hours later, I'm still playing. And so the other day, and my knees were damaged for a long, long time after that. And I was having all this, so I went to the masseuse, and she worked on my knees. And I mean, it's like a long time. Like, how long ago was that tournament? 2 months, at least 2 months. So the other day, we're in college choir, and John's in there. And this one young lady in the group, she drops her music, and I, kind of go like this, oh, it really, really hurt. It really hurt when I bent down. And I looked, and I said, don't worry, everybody. I'm not going to die. I'm sorry you had to see that. Because I hollered, I just made this big noise, like, oh, it hurts so much. And I looked up at John, and I said, I think it's that basketball tournament. And he looks at me, he says, dude, that was months ago. So anyway, for me, the whole thing is about relationships. I just like the people I hang out with. I love John J. Jackson, whatever your name is. I call you everything in the world. He's just an awesome human being. And as a music teacher, to see a guy, who just brings a guitar with him all the time and defines himself by that guitar. And I don't know. Every time I talk to Jay, he just says something amazing to me. And he's an inspiration to me. I want to tell you that. You said some nice things about me, but I just really want to say that, and that all you guys are. And I really, I'll just be very, very brief. But I grew up in the racist South, and my family was about as racist as you could possibly imagine. And from a very young age, I knew that was crazy. I just didn't know why. I couldn't understand why that was the way it was. And I just thank God that, I'm a white guy, so all white guys are racist in some way. I mean, I don't know what you fancy yourself to be, but you've always got weird stuff going around in your head about things. But I just want to thank God that every day of my life I have the opportunity to be with people who teach me things like Jay teaches me and helps me see the world in a way that I was not privileged to see when I was a younger person. So thank you very much for all of you and your influence in my life and presence. I'm so proud to be a part of this organization, so thank you very much.
Okay, we only have, we're only doing our awards now, right?
Yes, we're going to do
Okay,
awards. and
so
then
we're gonna stop saying we're gonna get out here at 8 o'clock. We're gonna get out here really quickly because right? So I just want to speak from the heart really quickly. So you have the first two, or you want me to call mine?
Yes, okay. So I want Ronald Roddy Gilbert, Todd Johnson, Jonathan Jackson. No, Jonathan, stay seated. Todd, stay seated. I'm sorry. Ronald and Ulysses and Anderson Williams. This group of guys standing here, the reason why they're here, and we have a few more. We had 16 guys this summer take summer courses, and out of those 16, 8 got 3.0s or higher, and so that's a pretty high number for just a group of 16 guys. And so these guys represent 3 of those individuals. And I want to say quickly, all you ABO members, we're missing almost half of our guys. So I want you guys to really challenge them on why they're not here tonight, because there's a few more guys who are supposed to be getting awards. They're not here, but we're going to, don't know 10 monkeys stop no show, right? So anyway, first of all, I want to talk about Ronald here. I had the privilege of meeting Ronald towards the earlier part of the summer. And the first thing is I've been meeting every guy that's in here I've sat and talked with. And certain guys, they have a look. There's a certain look I've learned to discern and to see when a man's became a man and he's ready to lead and he's ready to be an influencer of culture, and he had that look in his eye, and he was very focused and very determined, and I could tell he's kind of hard on himself at times, but he's a leader in the classroom, and I expect great things out of him, and for that he has an award coming his way. The next young man standing here, Ulysses Echoes. Again, Ulysses is another individual who has consistently done well in the classroom, and for that, that's why he's getting an award. And not only that, he epitomizes functioning when there's a lot of dysfunction around you. And I teach these guys, again, a lot that no matter what's happening around you, you have to maintain function in your responsibilities. He understands that he has a responsibility of being a good student. And no matter what has occurred, he's always been consistent in the classroom. And for that, he has an award coming. All right, the next guy I'm going to present, first of all, I've been saying he looks like 50 Cent all year. Nobody will agree with me, but he looks like 50 Cent to me. Okay. Anyway, Anderson Williams, I've been knowing him for a little over a year now, and he's consistent in the classroom, and he's one of the guys this summer that got a 3.0 or higher. He has an entrepreneur spirit, and you probably realize that when he gave his answer to the question of what problem would he solve. He's one of those guys I'm trying to keep on my team because I know he's going to be rich one day, and so for that, he's getting an award.
All right, and 2 more. Can I please have Todd Johnson and Jonathan Jackson? All right, same group, great grades, same thing. I'm just gonna give my little spiel. All right, so I'm a professor here. So pretty much I just know professor language. So when I see you, how you're doing, that's great, but I wanna know more stuff just about school. So when I saw Todd this summer, I can tell you had a 30-page paper due for an internship. Every time I saw him, he's like, I got a 30-page paper due for this internship. And he talked about that paper all the time. I like those kind of conversations. And also, when we see each other, I want to know, do you know what you're supposed to be doing in your classroom, and are you working on it? And this is where it gets you. And Todd also has a community engagement spirit. So he was really involved last year with our community service learning project with Martin Luther King Junior School. So that's what I'm going to tell you about Todd. And actually, both of these young men, Jonathan Jackson also was very participatory in our service project at Martin Luther King School. And I have to tell you this. We go to Martin Luther King School, to work on a literacy project, right? That's what we're doing. We're going to read with fourth graders. Jonathan walks in with a guitar on his back. I read. Yes, he did. But when you have a group of fourth graders see someone with a guitar on their back, like, you can't bring that in here anymore because they're a little bit distracted. But he did hold out till the end and promised to play for them. So yes, we used that. And I was kind of disappointed because I came here and I didn't see a guitar. So I was like, where's Jonathan? But it's over there against the wall. So, and I saw, I think it was earlier today, and Jonathan asked me this question. I love this question. How do I sign up for an honors class? Yes. Getting awards. Thank you. All right, give them something.
We're going to be out of here in 7 minutes or less. Okay, this is the this is the last portion. I think you guys have heard that our goal for this year for completion rate, successful course completion rate, was 80%. We didn't meet that goal. As a group, we ended up with the students ended up at 65%. In general, African American males on this campus only completed a 26% rate. So the program is working for the guys who are engaged with it. So even though they only got 65 and they didn't get 80, this year we're expecting 80. And we got a strong incoming class. I think we're going to definitely make that happen. But in particular, the next 5 guys that I call up, they're going to be getting an award because they achieved a 90% successful completion rate for the first half of the summer. So during summer 1, the guys that were taking courses, at the end of the day, they had a 90% successful course completion rate. So we decided that we were going to award them for their leadership in the classroom. And so and again, these guys got a 90% successful course completion rate. 90% is higher than any other group on campus. And so, again, these guys are showing an example of what a black man is capable of in the classroom. And so for you guys who didn't take courses this summer or this is your very first semester, know that these are the guys that we're expecting you to live up to and follow their lead. And they're your peers, and they can help you, and they can give you information related to your success. And so I'm going to give these guys their awards, and Eric is going to release everyone.
We want to thank you for coming this evening, and family and friends, supporters. We're glad you're here. We want to have all of our coaches stand up. Would our coaches please stand up? All of our coaches, please stand up. Thank you very much, and we really could not do this program without your support, and we do appreciate you, and some of you are coaching 2 and 3 gentlemen, and we appreciate your commitment to this program. So thanks to all of our coaches. I guess I want to end up sort of with a story, and there was this guy. He was at home asleep in the bed, and he and his wife sound asleep, and all of a sudden there was this banging at the door, bam, 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 bam. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. It was raining like crazy. And he got up and he said, "Who is this ringing at my door?" And his wife said, "Well, go see." He said, "Honey, look, I'm not answering the door at 2 o'clock in the morning in the middle of a storm like this." She said, "Go see who it is." So he got up, he answered the door, and this guy was standing there saying, "Hey, I need some help. Can you give me a push?" He said, what do you mean give you a push? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. He said, are you crazy, storming like that? He said, no, and he slammed the door and went back to bed, and his wife said, well, who was it? Well, some old guy said he needed a push. And she said, well, honey, look, it's raining outside. It's pitch black outside. You know, you wouldn't want someone to help you. So get a guy a push. Go help the man. And so he said, well, okay. So he got up and he put on his clothes and threw on his galoshes and his raincoat and rain hat, and he walked out on the front porch, and it was just pitch black. He said, hey, you still out there? He said, yeah. He said, you still need a push? He said, yes, sir. He said, well, where are you? So dark I can't see you. Where are you? He said, I'm over here on a swing. So all I'm saying, sometimes a man need a push. and gentlemen, ABO was here to push you. We will come out in the middle of the night, in the middle of a storm, and when it's pitch black, we will come push you because we want you to be successful, and that's what it's all about. So thank all of you. Once again, family and friends. ABO guys, stand up one more time. Let's give them a hand, and we'll be through. You know what? I need to do one thing. Victor, stand up. I'm sorry, because I miss Victor. Victor, he's not a coach. He didn't stand when I said coaches. Victor is our tutor. And Victor works with all of these men. So, and if you have trouble with your checkbook, Victor can do some math. Call him, okay? You can't trust him with your checkbook, but he can do the math for it, okay? So anyway, thank you. We are dismissed. Thank you for a wonderful evening. We appreciate it.